When we're collecting data, we can have a bias in the study. And this is something you really want to be careful of. A bias is the degree in which a procedure systematically overestimates or underestimates a population value. And let's look at some of the sources of bias. Selection or sampling bias. The technique used to obtain the sample could favor one part of the population over another, and that could really affect your results. So being careful to make sure every part of the population is represented is very important. Voluntary response in itself creates a bias. When you let people volunteer to be part of the study, they already have a bias that they have chosen to be a part of it when other people have chosen not to be. There's also a non-response bias, the ones when people who've been selected to be a part of the study just don't respond. That's going to affect your results. Now, sometimes their response actually creates a bias because they don't answer truthfully. And some of the reasons that can happen is the question could be leading. We'll look at some of those examples here in a second. Leading questions. Sometimes the order of questions can affect their answers. And the way the interview happens can affect the answers. So for each of these, we're going to think about what type of bias can happen and how that can be fixed. And let me add something here. No, I'm just going to go ahead and let's go for it. A retail store manager wants to conduct a study regarding the shopping habits of his customers. He selects the first 60 customers who enter his store on a Saturday morning. Well, let's think about that. This is a sampling bias. How did he sample his customers? He did a sample of convenience. This is a convenience sample. These people are already the first people to enter his store. What could he do different if he wants to study the shopping habits of his customers? Well, he should randomly sample customers all week. Not just the first ones that walk in the door. An anti-gun advocate wants to estimate the percentage of people who favor stricter gun laws. He conducts a nationwide survey of 1,203 randomly selected adults 18 years old and older. The interviewer asks the respondents, do you favor harsher penalties for individuals who sell guns illegally? Could that create a bias? Yes, that is a leading question. He really needs to reword the question. Think of how ways he could reword that question to make it be open for all responses. I'm just going to write reword. I want you to think about the ways that could be rewritten. Suppose you are conducting a survey regarding the sleeping habits of students. From a list of registered students, you obtain a simple random sample of 150 students. One survey question is, how much sleep do you get? If they're talking about sleeping habits and you just say, how much sleep do you get? That is also a leading question. I think it would be better to have multiple choice for that one. Ranges. Do you get 1 to 3 hours, 4 to 6, 7 to 9? But not just how much sleep do you get. That leaves it way too open that somebody could say, I get enough. I don't get enough. I get too much. You need to be more specific. Cold Stone Creamery is considering opening a new store in O'Fallon. Before opening the store, the company would like to know the percentage of households in O'Fallon that regularly visit an ice cream shop. The market researcher obtains a list of households in O'Fallon and randomly selects 150 of them, like that he randomly selected those. He mails a questionnaire to the 150 households, then asks about ice cream eating habits and favorite preferences. Of the 150 questionnaires mailed, 4 are returned. Well, this is a double whammy because, first off, you're only getting a voluntary response. Only 4 people responded, and the main error is that there's a large number with no response. A newspaper article reported the Cosmopolitan magazine survey of more than 5,000 Australian women aged 18 to 34 found about 42% consider themselves overweight or obese. So what's wrong with the survey? Let's think about this. A Cosmopolitan magazine survey. How do those work? Those are voluntary responses. First of all, those are people who bought the magazine and then chose to respond. A polling organization conducts a study to estimate the percentage of households that speaks a foreign language as the primary language. It mails a questionnaire to 1,023 randomly selected households throughout the United States and asks the head of household if a foreign language is the primary language spoken in the home. Of the 1,023 households selected, 12 responded. So again, non-response, voluntary response, was the questionnaire in English? If you're asking, is English what's your primary language, why would you ask it in English? So there's several things that could be done differently in each of these scenarios. I want you to think about that. If in your job, whatever your career holds, you're having to collect data, be careful how you do it. Be careful how you word your questions. Be careful how you select your sample. It will make a difference on your data.